We're going to give you 10 reasons to hate the 6.5 Creedmoor. So buckle up. Hi everybody, welcome back to LocaCarnivore. Like we said, we're going to give you 10 reasons today to hate the 6.5 Creedmoor. So you fanboys out there, put your Kevlar on because there's rounds incoming. We're going to walk you through all 10 here. And of course, we're going to give you the most important one at the end of the video. So stick with us all the way through, would you? And don't forget to give us a big like, subscribe. We want you on the LocaCarnivore team. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. All right, so why on earth would we come up with 10 reasons to hate the 6.5 Creedmoor? Well, frankly, as I sat down and went through checked all the boxes of the reasons why I really don't like this cartridge, I could have come up with a lot more than just 10, so I had to draw the line somewhere, otherwise we'd have an hour-long video, and that wouldn't be too good. So let's clear the air right up front. First of all, the 6.5 Creedmoor is not a bad cartridge per se. It's fine, it does what it does, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about, though, why it's not as good as a lot of people like to think it is. First problem with the 6.5 Creedmoor. It is, in my opinion, underpowered. Now let me qualify that. I mean, obviously it shoots a bullet at a reasonable speed and it imparts killing energy to animals when it hits them. We're talking about hunting here for the 6.5 Creedmoor, by the way. My complaint with it is, though, is when we move into large game animals. Elk, moose, the really large plains game in Africa, anything like that. And for that, in my opinion, the 6.5 Creedmoor leaves a lot to be desired. As John Ruark, the famed big game hunter, once said, use enough gun. And I think that that is so true when you go out hunting. You as a hunter have an ethical duty to dispatch an animal as quickly and humanely as possible. And the 6.5 Creedmoor, when it comes to the larger animals, and if you want to go, it's a great round for hunting like eastern whitetails or pronghorn antelopes, a really good round for that sort of thing. Anything that's below 200 pounds in body weight, it's fine for, in my opinion. So, second reason to hate 6.5 Creedmoor. 6.5 millimeter bullets, and this isn't just for the Creedmoor, but 6.5 millimeter bullets, they have advantages, but one of their disadvantages is they do not make very wide wound channels. Yeah, they penetrate very well, but even expanded, they don't make super wide wound channels. And if you go over to Ballistic Studies, where Nathan Foster runs that little operation online, and he's a bona fide expert. He's a long-range shooting expert, he's a long-range shooting instructor, and a long-range hunting, more particularly a long-range hunting expert. He teaches people how to hunt long-range in New Zealand. And he goes into depth about 6.5 millimeter bullets that, while they may wound deeply, they just don't give you the wide wound channels, as wide a wound channel as you'll get out of a 7 millimeter or 30 caliber or 330 caliber bullet or something larger like that. And that can, as he puts it, cause delayed incapacitation of the animal. Read that, the thing runs away and you might not be able to find it. So 6.5 millimeter bullets, again, good penetrators, but not super wide wound channels. So when we apply that to large animals, a narrow wound track is not going to incapacitate as fast as a similar depth but wider wound track with more energy deposit in the target. All right, reason number 3 to hate the 6.5 Creedmoor. Before I launch into that, real quick, we'd love your support on our Patreon. Links in the description. Go to our website, LocaCarnivore.com. Link in the description. While you're there, hit the store tab, get some merchandise. We'd appreciate your help on that. As we were saying, number 3, third reason to hate the 6.5 Creedmoor, this thing duplicates a lot of other cartridges as far as just the ballistic performance. And other cartridges that are just as accurate. I mean, they're very good cartridges. The 260 Remington, great cartridge. It's been doing the same job as the 6.5 Creedmoor for decades and decades and decades. When it was developed, about the 60s, 1960s, I believe, is when it came out. Maybe even earlier than that. It's based on the 308. Fantastic cartridge, runs in a short action, it's accurate, hits just as hard, quite frankly. It shoots the same diameter bullets, generally as heavy a bullet, and it's readily available everywhere, and there's tons of rifles made for it. Another cartridge it duplicates, the 6.5 by 55 Swedish. Fantastic, legendary cartridge. This thing's been around since the 1890s roughly, and it has been doing the job in Europe and Scandinavia particularly for well over a century. I mean, this thing is fantastic. And it kind of calls into the question, why do you need another cartridge? So you've got that. There's a lot of other cartridges that are in that general range of energy and everything that have been around for decades and decades. And that goes into reason number 4. We'll just roll right into it. And that is the fact that our data set on how the 6.5 Creedmoor performs on game is not nearly as broad, is not as deep a knowledge base as all these other older cartridges. It's still a relatively new cartridge, especially for hunting. It's only been, most people have been hunting with it for maybe a decade or so. That's just not a big enough data set in my opinion. And a lot of these things you see on the internet where, a guy drops an elk or a moose or an elephant or whatever it is at, 1,000, 1,500 yards with a 6.5 Creedmoor. I'm being hyperbolic, but this is what some of these people are showing out there. Those are unique events. Those are anecdotal events, and we don't have a large database out there. Reason number 5 to hate the 6.5 Creedmoor. By the way, go ahead and share this video, would you? So number 5, the 5th reason is, in my opinion, this cartridge with its reputation and the little halo that's around this thing, it invites people to take unethical shots at game. And like I said, the envelope on a large animal, in my opinion, for 6.5 Creedmoor, a realistic, based on the physics, not anecdotes, but physics of the situation and how much energy you want. And I don't care how efficient your bullet is, and I don't care all this other blah, blah, blah. Energy is still energy. Physics is physics. And we need to hit that animal, especially a big animal, with enough energy. And out beyond 300 yards, 6.5 Creedmoor starts falling down really fast. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that are going to believe the hype about this cartridge. And even if they have the skill set to do the shot and make the shot at a long range, say 800 yards or even 500 yards, it's not your best play. And I would say that there's probably, quite frankly, since the 6.5 Creedmoor started gaining traction out there, there are a lot more wounded elk wandering around than there were in the past. I've talked to people that have used like 260 Remington, 243s even on elk, and while it will drop an elk in the right circumstances, I also know by talking to like their friends and family members, they're like, after you get talking to that person that uses a 243, some will come over and say, hey, I hunt with this guy, and I'll tell you, he's wounded a lot of elk over the years. So again, it tempts people to make unethical shots. You can make a perfectly ethical shot on an elk with a 6.5 Creedmoor at 200 yards with the proper broadside presentation and the right marksmanship skill set. No problem. I don't have a problem with that. But it's when people try to really push the envelope on this thing, and anything can go wrong. When you're out in the hunting field, anything can go wrong, especially on a longer shot. The wind could change, the animal could take a step right before you break the shot, you could just get a case of nerves, you could just screw it up, whatever happens. And then you've got a wounded animal that was hit without a sufficient amount of energy at that range, and now you've got a real problem on your hands. Reason number 6 to hate the 6.5 Creedmoor. 6.5 millimeter people, they confuse efficiency with effectiveness. And there is a difference. Efficiency is getting something done for the least amount of cost or the least amount of energy input. And that's all fine, and I'm always for efficiency, but I'm a bigger fan of effectiveness. And sometimes we have to leave the efficiency behind to get the effectiveness. Yeah, it's an efficient round. 6.5 bullets are efficient. They penetrate deep. They're very aerodynamic. They tend not to drift a lot. There's a lot of pluses for 6.5s, but at the end of the day, they don't hit as hard as a 7mm or more particularly a 30 caliber projectile will, not to mention 338 or 375 caliber projectile. So they just don't hit as hard, and they don't carry the energy, and they don't make as wide a wound track. Therefore, in my opinion, ultimately, if you shot like 100 elk with each cartridge, you would find that that 6.5 cartridge is not as effective. And I'm not alone in this. There are, from what I am understanding by doing some research lately, there are quite a few elk guides out there that are prohibiting their clients from bringing 6.5 Creedmoors on elk hunts. They just flat will not take you. If you show up with one of those, they don't care what you paid, you're going home, or you're going to have to borrow one of their rifles in a proper elk cartridge. Reason number 7 to hate the 6.5 Creedmoor. The 6.5 Creedmoor was never designed as either a military or a hunting cartridge. It is a target cartridge. Its initial mission, its purpose, its raison d'etre to exist is to punch a hole in a piece of paper consistently at long range. And that's fine. That's a great thing. If you're a competition shooter, more power to you. That just, the better you can shoot and the better you are at it, the better you're a hunter you're going to be. There's no doubt about it. However, by not being designed as either a military or a hunting cartridge from the get-go, it kind of falls down in that area. You're taking one thing and asking it to do a totally different job. And any engineer will tell you, if somebody comes to them and says, hey, this thing that you designed to do whatever, we now want it to do this other thing. And the engineers are going to go, well, okay, but I don't know if it's going to work as well as you envision. And that's exactly what's going on with the 6.5 Creedmoor. And all of these cartridges that are coming out of the long-range precision shooting world that are not designed originally as a hunting cartridge. Now you look at the classic hunting cartridges like the 30-30 and the 300 Winchester Magnum, the 338 Winchester Magnum, the 375 Holland & Holland. These were all designed with one purpose in mind, and that was to drop an animal of appropriate size based on the cartridge energy and capabilities as fast as possible right there in the field, regardless of the angle, and was to have enough residual power or surplus power to get the job done if you ended up with a slightly offbeat shot, a shot that wasn't optimal but still makeable. And that's what those are designed for. Now all these cartridges, these new target cartridges, as you're aware, they're designed with very straight walls to optimize case volume, and they're also designed, they have the shoulders pushed back and they have a very obtuse angle, a very flat angle for that shoulder, and that's to extend the neck and get the bullet up out of the case and close to the rifle and all that. These are great things for target cartridges, but if you look at a cartridge that was originally designed for military or hunting, but particularly for military use, like the 30-06, 8mm Mauser, 308, things like that, they have more tapered cases, and the 375 Holland & Holland, for instance, they all have more tapered cases, they have shallow shoulder angles, and the shoulders are more forward, all to enhance feed reliability. And I think in a hunting cartridge in the field, feed reliability is extremely important. So I think you're kind of setting yourself up, the world is setting itself up for rifles that might be not as reliable, especially under adverse conditions. And so these cartridges, while they're fine on a nice pristine range, where you can control the dust to a certain degree, you're not getting snowed on, you haven't gotten a bunch of freezing rain into the gun, all these sorts of things, mud, whatever it might be. These cartridges are designed for that environment. They're not designed to take out in the field and to shoot live animals. All right, let's talk about number 8, and we're going to roll number 9 into this as well. Okay, I'll keep the video a little shorter, sorry. But number 8 and number 9 go to the fact that number 8 is the real reason, in my opinion, that the 6.5 Creedmoor has gained the traction that it has is because of the marketing efforts of the company that developed the cartridge, namely Hornady. And they are famous. They are experts at working the system and getting their message out, which is, good for you, Hornady. But they're willing allies in the mainstream gun press, gun media, they just have hyped this thing because they have to. Hornady has their business model over the last few decades has become, we introduce a cartridge practically every month, and then we hype the snot out of it to make you go out and think, oh, I've got to have this new thing, because if I don't have this new cartridge that Hornady just came out with, I'm not going to be able to shoot anything ever. And people buy into this. And unfortunately, a lot of it, what it's created is a bandwagon. And I despise bandwagons. Bandwagons make me worry. The more people who shout loud and beat their chests, and the louder they shout, and the more they beat their chests, and the more of them do it on anything, the more suspicious I become, and the more cynical I become. Bandwagons are usually a product of emotional reaction, and they're not a rational look at the facts and the math of a given situation. And I think in this case, the 6.5 Creedmoor is a bandwagon in many respects. There's a lot of people using this cartridge that really, for their application and what they want to do with it, they should be getting a different cartridge. All right, as we promised, the number 1, the top reason to hate the 6.5 Creedmoor. And by the way, what's your 6.5 Creedmoor story? Do you use it? Do you like it? More importantly, have you used it? And like a lot of people decided after seeing what it does in the game, in the field on game, have decided no more 6.5 Creedmoor. I'd love to hear from you. Go down in the comments and tear it up. Let us know all about it. So let's get to that the number 1 reason why to hate the 6.5 Creedmoor. And quite frankly, it's the chattering class of 6.5 Creedmoor fanboys. What can I say? These people just won't get real. And to listen to some of these people, they would make the 6.5 Creedmoor as something that could kill a Tyrannosaurus Rex at 2 miles without actually hitting the animal. Just the shock from the bullet going past would be sufficient to drop this thing. And yeah, that's a little exaggeration, but it's not too far off the pace. I mean, these people are like, it's the only cartridge I'll ever need. And I'm like, well, don't go hunting in Alaska or don't go hunting out west for really big animals and dangerous animals. I mean, 6.5 Creedmoor on bear, give me a break. Now, everybody goes, well, they use 6.5 by 55 Swedish for polar bears. That's always been used. Well, that's because that was for Norwegian and Swedish polar explorers. That was the only gun they had because of their gun regulations, or they were in the Swedish or Norwegian military on these expeditions, and they were shooting their polar bears at close range with headshots. So you can use, it's been proven, you can kill a grizzly bear with a headshot from a 22 long rifle if necessary at close range. It's been done in Alaska. So don't give me that, and they use it on moose all the time. Well, let me tell you, in Scandinavia, how do they hunt their moose? They have dogs corner the moose in the thick forest, and they get up there within less than 50 yards, sometimes closer than that, and they shoot the thing absolutely precisely, usually again a headshot. And in that case, yeah, the 6.5 is brilliant. It'll do the job. Any cartridge at that point would do the job well. So there's a lot of confirmation bias going on here, and they're not looking at the facts completely. So frankly, 6.5 Creedmoor fanboys, you need to tone it down a little bit. You need to look out there and realize there's other cartridges and they can do the job just as well, and mainly quit getting after people because they're not using your pet cartridge. Just let people have what they want. If they want to use a different cartridge, that's their business. Just shut up, do what you want to do, and get on with it. Well, there you have it. 10 reasons to hate the 6.5 Creedmoor. And I told you I could have come up with even more, but I had to cut it off somewhere. Hey, we're glad you joined us today on LocaCarnivore, and we're glad you took your valuable time to watch our video. Thank you so much. And remember, you can learn at least one thing from everybody you meet. So pay attention. Thanks for watching.
Ha ha